Hello and welcome to Future Imperfect. I'm your CO, Admiral Phillips, and in this episode, I'll be covering a multitude of things and putting in a little Q flash in between them all. Starting off, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the journey of the podcast as where it's going to go, and we're going to be doing some Star Trek Discovery conversations, some of the prophecies that have come true, and SFI.org, Starfleet International, and Star Trek Online hitting its 8-year anniversary. So, yeah, getting right down into it, we're going to go to Star Trek Online. So as you know, I'm a huge fan of Star Trek Online. Despite my irritation and misgivings with it earlier in the year, or last year, that is, I've grown more accustomed to the awesomeness that is involved. And they're celebrating their 8-year anniversary. And the beautiful thing about this is it benefits the player in every way. So the other day, they were giving away free T5 ships. So basically, there's different levels. There's just T1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the T5 upgraded. So from Friday through Monday, Friday the 19th through Monday the 22nd, they're doing the free ship day. So you head to the section of the C store, and if you're a Klingon, you get a T5 Burrell Bird of Prey retrofit. If you're a Romulan, you get the T5 Delian Warbird retrofit. And if you're Starfleet, you get the T5 Defiant Tactical Escort retrofit. Which is beautiful because if you have any other ships that take a cloaking device, the Defiant comes with a cloak. So you can use it. And so like if you had the Aquarius, you can use the Defiant's cloak. If you had that special Galaxy class Dreadnought that has the capability, you can use it. So I now have the Defiant on all my Federation characters and have the cloaking device, so I can use it elsewhere, which has been one of the ships I've been after anyhow. I eventually want to get the Dreadnought Galaxy class and then the regular one so I can do the saucer separation, because the saucer I can use on the Odyssey class starship. So it would be kind of awesome if you could use it on the Constitution class, Kelvin, or Prime Timeline. So that was one of the new things that came out. I'm not sure what's coming next. They are teasing some new story elements. And they're also teasing the Discovery lockbox. And they've fully rendered the Shenzhou and the Discovery and the Sarcophagus Klingon ship in the lockbox universe, and I'm kind of excited for it in a sense, except for the fact that I know that the odds of receiving the ship or anything regarding it is slim to none, just because of mechanics of gaming. So anyways, you're going to be rewarded with either the ships, different weapons. The Discovery is a cross-field class science vanguard, T6. So it's originally created, to be the vessel of scientific endeavor, and obviously, that's the Battle of the Binary Stars, and so the Science Vanguard is what they're calling this. They actually show it by Earth Space Dock doing the mycelium teleportation jumps. However, it comes with a console called Universal Mycelium Ambush, which, when the power is activated, your starship's weapons will be temporarily disabled as your ship instantaneously moves forward to a destination some distance from your current spot, which will be kind of awesome if you're playing and then you need to get out of that spot and then you use it to get out of it. It says, upon arrival at your destination, a pulse of energy is discharged, impeding the engines of nearby ships while enhancing your own starship's weapons for a brief period. After a few seconds, multiple payloads of torpedoes are released, and your starship's weapons are briefly disabled again in order to instantaneously move backwards to your original position. So, yeah, it says if you create complete the Starship Mastery path that they have for a lot of these T6 ships, you get Black Alert, which is a temporary adjustment to the spore drive, allowing temporarily displaced duplicates of your ship to assail the targeted foe with torpedo spreads for a brief time. So you initiate the sequence by activating Beam Overload, Cannon Rapid Fire, or Intelligence Bridge Officer abilities. And then they have the Sarcophagus Dreadnought, which, going back to the Discovery, I would love to play that ship in the game, just because the Kelvin Constitution class ship is just awesome. So the Sarcophagus Dreadnought carrier is massive, supposedly dating the early Klingon Empire thousands of years ago, but yeah, I'm not going there. So anyways, they have the Universal Console, the multi-target tractor array, which has like a multiple tractor beam system that grabs everything, that just debilitates everything. It's a total of 12 tractor arrays activated by this ability, which targets all nearby foes, severely slowing them and dealing moderate amount of kinetic damage to the hull. And it says if any foes caught by more than one tractor, the damage of each is increased as the tractor beam tears the unfortunate ship in opposite directions. So yeah, and then they've got the Honored Dead, which will serve as your shield. As your hull is depleted in combat, your casualties you suffer will be added to the defensive capabilities. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And then they got the Walker class light exploration cruiser, the Shenzhou, which is the Lobby store, which I'm sure it's going to be expensive. The addition of the intelligence vessel. Anyways, they're saying that it's going to be available as well, and they're going to have as its trait the Vulcan Hello, which is it's weapon power drain and gain shield and armor penetration bonus, and so yeah, I'm kind of excited to see some of this stuff in the game, and they're also going to have a new set of genetic resequencers in order to unlock access to 2 new ground traits, being Universal Laws for Lackeys, which is while in combat each second you gain bonus, and then Brutal Impetus, and then Space is Context is for Kings, and Duelist Fervor, and the Universal Kit modules for scientists and engineers are Choose Your Pain, Parabellum, and Miniaturized Spore Relay. Teleports you short distance, so leaving mines behind. So it's going to be kind of cool. You get a special requisition pack, Discovery Disruptor, or phaser weapons. They're also unrolling the some temporal rift stabilizers, multidimensional waves, enhanced induction coils, shield destabilizer, ablative hazard shielding, as well as a Harry Mudd outfit in the Lobby store. And they're also going to have the new full phaser full auto rifle, and the new Discovery environmental suits, which I like the environmental suits for Discovery, don't get me wrong. That's one of the few things I enjoy. And then they're also going to have the pets in the Lobby store. So all of this will be available on January 23rd, which is kind of cool to hear. And then kind of going back to more of it, they're going to have another mission dropping soon, which is the Scylla, and basically Scylla and Charybdis, the battle against the Zenkethi. I'm looking forward to this as well. I think that the game, it had a really crappy, rocky start when it first came out, but I think that it's actually hitting its stride now, and it's getting a lot more of the Trek added in, plus building out the mythos. I kind of look forward to seeing what they do with the Discovery stuff as they start to incorporate more of it and kind of build into that timeline of Star Trek Online and incorporate that elsewhere in the show and in the game. But yeah, if you're not playing it, it's free to play. There's a lot of stuff going on in the game, so just be sure to check that out. So I'm going to take a quick break, go back to Starfleet International, and we'll be back. So I know that Mike the Birdman Dodd used to be a member of SFI.org, Starfleet International. I never knew what was entailed in Starfleet International when I had previously heard him talk about it. And I joined it last Monday. And since then, I've taken close to 20 classes with about, I don't know, 8 more that are in my queue right now. It's ridiculous amounts. Some of it, like Star Trek Generations trivia, quotes, characters, and information. I blitz through that because I know the film. Star Trek 6, I'm going to have the same boat, I think. I also took stuff on like temporal mechanics, stuff on the mirror universe. It's very in-depth on the mirror universe and quite helpful, actually, in understanding it if you weren't too well versed in it prior to Discovery. And then there's, character profiles, there's ship schematics, there's all kinds of other stuff. So there's plenty in there. They've got to have close to like 1,000 classes on this setup. And it's not expensive at all to join. I thought it was, and that's why I've never joined it before. Had I known that, I would have joined sooner. So I'm going through like a lot of the Starfleet stuff now. I joined a region, I joined a chapter. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So be sure to check out sfi.org if you want to find out more. They've got a ton going on over there, and they're revamping their website right now. So, yeah, it's awesome. So I'll probably be doing regular bits on that as well in the show, along with Star Trek Online and random Star Trek and Discovery stuff. So I'm going to jump into Star Trek Discovery now because... at least the information as far as Twitter is concerned. Trek on Tube last Monday had a prediction saying that the Mirror Lorca theory, if I were to explain it, both Lorca's prime timeline and mirror universe, switched places somehow when they had the Baran. Mirror Lorca in the prime timeline learned about the Discovery and put himself on board as captain with the intention of using it to get home. And having a powerful weapon to use against alien scum, Prime Lorca found himself in the mirror universe, didn't like it, so he created a movement and rebelled against the Emperor and the system. Another theory is he went to the Prime timeline on purpose to get Burnham. He killed Mirror Burnham, made an enemy of Empress Georgiou, and presented Prime Burnham to her as his way of absolution or pardon. But I don't think that was it. I think that he wanted to get on the ship and couldn't get on it and wanted to be able to take her down from the inside because he's a capable, crazy captain. So I do love the fact that we basically got that with Lorca. They don't explain what happened to the Prime Timeline version, but all the stuff came out at the end of the episode as far as like his eye issue, as far as like some of the stuff. And I gotta be honest, I kind of knew it was coming. I'll get back to that in a minute anyways, but, they had Mirror Stamets and Stamets conversing. They had Stamets miraculously heal himself. They had the Klingon with Vok and Tyler separating, because it is actually a Klingon body shaped to look like Tyler, but Tyler's persona is implanted in there with Vok. And the Klingon has to separate Vok and Tyler in order to make them survive. So Vok is dead because she did the death cry. And and then you get Burnham in the episode telling the Emperor, basically, there's nothing, she was going to kill her anyway. And so she's like, hey, look, I'm from the other universe. I'm just trying to get home. I really don't want any trouble here. And so Georgiou is like, do you know what happened through the Expanse and what happened to that crew? And that's why it's sealed off. And, part of why it's sealed and part of the Federation and how toxic it is. So because she kills like 6 of her guards and leaves 1 alive as like, you know, clean this up, and you speak of it, I kill you. So it's just kind of funny watching a lot of this stuff play out in the show, even though I've kind of suspected a lot of it from the get-go. So I don't know. I mean, I enjoy the show. It's not terrible. It's just not all that well written, like to where I still feel like I don't really know the characters all that well, and they don't really mesh together all that well. And it's like a lot of personality thrown in there that is inconsistent with itself consistently, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I do like, you know, the aesthetics of the second half of the season more. I find it cleaner and easier to look at. Like, it's getting closer to that original timeline type of look. I'm wondering how, you know, whether they're going to show the Defiant or not by the end of the season. And if they do, it'll probably be Lorca's. But who knows? Lorca may live or die at this point, and he may be one of the cast members that's gone. You may actually see the original Lorca like turn up in the other universe at some point. Like, this Lorca could be closed doors. You might not see this one again, and then he gets to play a whole new version of Lorca in the next half of the show, which I would be down for as well. You get to see Saru actually like being commander and kind of ballsy, and it was kind of disgusting what they did with the Kelpians on Georgiou's ship, eating their ganglia. It's just weird. There's a lot of stuff in this show that's like purposely shock value for the purpose of shock value. Like, it's not even all that entertaining. You get the ganglia thing, you get Georgiou massacring her crew right in front of, you know, it. And then you get the different aspects in the brig. Just a lot of the stuff I find to be kind of meh. But I did go back and watch a lot of the mirror stuff so that I could kind of have some context. It's like I said, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. I'm still trying to find common ground and not hate on the show directly. Like, and I have to agree with like various articles I've read. Like, there's one on Screen Rant where they said Discovery is still missing the spirit of Star Trek. You know, they've got like these kind of stereotypes for a lot of their characters, and they're very like not invested and short-sighted in various degrees. But I feel like they should have almost waited for some of this and built up a little bit of the characters first. Because there's really nothing in the way of like the exploration, humanity, you know, mission of hope, wisdom, and friendship or anything. It's just kind of like crapping on itself constantly. And I feel very disinterested in a lot of the characters. Like, there's like, I want to like Stamets. I want to like Saru. I want to like Lorca. I want to like Burnham. There's a lot I want to like about it, but there's a lot that just doesn't really fit with me. I don't like this whole Game of Thrones style, which is probably why I enjoy the Orville much more. And Discovery kind of tries to have these big surprises and huge plot twists, and then they just fail epically when it comes down to it. Because I feel like there's like enough poor writing in the show that it's too easy to figure out, and they're trying to play. They're trying to screw with us in a sense. Like, I get this vibe, like almost how Abrams did with Into Darkness. Oh no, Benedict Cumberbatch is John Harriman, not Khan. And then he's like, Khan. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming a mile away. And that's kind of how I feel with this. So it's basically it's almost that no crap Sherlock. of what most fans have seen. All of these revelations have been coming a mile away. The Ash and Vok thing, Lorca being from the Mirror Universe since like he showed up, just because he's a total dick. And he played it remarkably well in the Prime Universe for the sake of playing it. But a lot of it, I mean, some of the surprises were still good, like the Lorca thing, like the revelation of Lorca, I really liked because it kind of gave it a little bit more to his character because we didn't really get much out of him. And Giorgio, I'm kind of like, I mean, she's giving me information, but it's not. I could take it or leave it at this point. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of expecting more out of it, and I'm not getting it. I'm getting more Game of Thrones and less Star Trek vibe. Not saying I don't still support it as a Star Trek show, because I do. I love Star Trek in all its capacities. Even if I dislike and take a dump on the show to some degree, there's still enough there for me to like it, to watch it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Enterprise, but there are aspects of Enterprise, like when they hit up the Borg, when they have the Nakul, when you have Agent Daniels, when you have various scenarios where they're playing around with canon, like the whole Klingon virus thing. So, I mean, certain aspects, and then the Mirror Darkly episode, which didn't take place in the Prime Universe whatsoever, and so, I mean, a lot of those scenarios I found to give it more depth and liking, even though the show as a whole wasn't that great. And so, like, I feel like there's certain episodes that are going to hold this up and certain ones that are going to tank it. And then I still think that the Harry Mudd episode was the best Star Trek episode we've gotten out of Discovery so far. In all degrees. I think that was the best, my favorite episode. I could watch that over and over. Yes, it's kind of a standalone, but I felt Mudd was a very compelling villain, even if he's a one-off. But the way that he played the whole scenario down, like, I didn't like the club scene of the episode, but, this episode, I found myself fast-forwarding through parts of the show. I was... And I've done that with the majority of Discovery. If they start getting to the, trying too hard to make a relationship scene or something, I'm not invested, so I don't care. And it's not like watching, Troy and Worf or Troy and Riker, or, it almost feels akin to every time Kirk bedded a woman in the original series. That's what I get out of it, because like even those, like I'm like, come on, let's go on. Like I don't. I get it. They were doing it for that in that time period, but I didn't care for it. So I think that's why I enjoy TNG, DS9, and Voyager better in that sense, is that they have strong characters, they have strong personas, they have an overarching plot. DS9 was probably the best serialized one we've gotten. But it again, they're still finding their footing. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt until season 2. But I still find it. I still find it crazy that, a lot of these tropes can be better than what they're doing, and I feel like there's things they could do. That would just be totally off the wall. Like DS9 had some of the most prolific writing in Trek, and thought-provoking storylines. And I think that's why when I was younger I didn't like it, but I actually love the series now. And Tyler having the post-traumatic stress disorder thing was kind of interesting, because you never really got to see that out of certain characters, and then they were like, faked you out, it's Vok, which I knew that. But it's, I don't know, there's just a lot to be desired, and I think that there's things that they could do better. On the other hand, though, somebody thought it would be funny to piece together continuity of Trek, like Robert Meyer Burnett on Twitter, who's a filmmaker, genre connoisseur type of person. Anyways, he says, Star Trek CBS has. There's nothing in it which has any connection to previous Star Trek canon. Sure, there's tribbles, Klingons, Sarek, starships, etc. But beyond the names of these things, they've been completely reimagined to almost unrecognizable, which is about true. And somebody put in there under the prime continuity thing, I think the argument that the TOS ships can't look good on modern times is ridiculous. It's the same Millennium Falcon in Last Jedi as in New Hope, and I kind of agree with that. They show like the cage, for instance, with Lorca standing in there, and you have the cage crew, and then they show the Discovery with Captain Pike standing on the bridge of the Discovery next to Lorca, and I get it. Like it would still work. It's just I'm not understanding why all of Starfleet has those weird getup, and at the same time that Pike is running around with what's on the Enterprise, and yeah. So I don't know. It's still kind of a wait and see scenario, I guess. I'm trying not to I really love the show, like all of Trek, and I'm trying not to take a dump on it, but it's there's just a lot to be desired about the show. So what do you guys think? What are some things that surprise you? What are some things that you hope happen? What are some theories that you have as a whole of the show? Do you think it's too dark? Do you think that it needs to go back to the Prime Universe? How invested are you in this Mirror Universe subplot that they've got going now? I like the Mirror Universe subplot much more than the Klingon subplot. I hated the Klingon subplot that they were doing in the first half of the show. Now, once we got to the second half of the show with the Mirror Universe, I'm game. I'm good. But I just think that there could have been better things to do in this show. So, sound off. Give me your feedback. feedback@alteredgeek.com. Let me know what you guys think. You can hit me up on Twitter @SCP21. And until next time, Warp Factor 1, engage.